Family issues and grief can be really challenging. For one thing, after a loss, let's say we had a child loss, okay? That was my case. I lost my son in 2011, my older son, and there was another son, Alex, and, initially, Alex got left in the downdraft because there's all this activity about the person we lost. We lost our son, Nick, and, everything's about that. Everything's about that event, and our emotions are crushed, and our children see that, and they don't know how to handle their emotions at times, and they want to help us because when they help us feel safe, then they feel safe, and it's really hard. My wife and I, we used to liken it to the Titanic. Like there's just been this big wreck and all the family members are holding on to life rafts, floating in the water, singing each other, but not being able to help each other. Because the best support we can give, we're not in the skin of another person. Just like I can help you with grief, and I know a lot about grief, but your individual experience, I cannot experience, even though I have way more experience of the average Joe than walking on the street in terms of helping you. So everybody's on a different place. And the children that are in the rest of the family sometimes get left behind. So one thing to make sure of is to try to give that child as much love and attention and let them know that they're important too, because it can feel to them like they're not important. And that's not the case. It's just that our minds as parents are in shock, or our minds as maybe you've lost a spouse, we're trying to figure out how our life goes, how to plan our map. And sometimes the children get, even though they're our most priority concern, and we take care of their needs before our own, they can still get the feeling. The feeling is what's important of the struggle that's going on within the family, and that resonates with them, and it plays out in different ways with them. So the other issues are that everything that was in the marriage or that was in a relationship when we lose a child will get amplified. Everything that was, you think that, loading the dishwasher is a problem. No. If you had issues of arguing over certain things, or the way somebody did something, or the way they chew their food, all of that is going to get amplified. Why? Because our nervous systems are on big alert. So, what can you do about that? Well, one thing is to recognize what the problems are, and if you need support, get it sooner than later. I know many marriages who have fallen apart after the death of a child, and that can really, the whole family just explodes, implodes, all of that. And it's really sad. And it's usually a slow decline over a couple years. But the issues that get people there are the issues that were there before the child was lost. So be aware of that and address that as soon as you can when you've had a loss like that. The stress is really high. So, things that might have aggravated us before aggravate us even more so. So we have to be really understanding. We have to learn to bite our lip a lot, right? Somebody may be doing something and I have to realize that really this is my issue, not theirs. And we also have to be very open and honest to communicate what my needs are. My need may be that I need to be alone today, that I cannot help support you. or that I'm in a good place today and I can't deal with, the ups and downs of your stuff. And it might be vice versa. If you're on the receiving end of a message like that, like, I just can't deal with you today, that might feel very hurtful. However, understand and take it in stride that the other person is doing the best they can. They're really just trying to survive just like you're doing. And over time, it's really important that maybe we sit down, you and your partner, and have a discussion about what's really going on, and just lay first of all, expose the groundwork that I'm really struggling right now, or I'm having problems about the way I was mothering or fathering, and I have all these why questions and what if questions, and bring all those to the surface with your partner and just put them out there, because it helps everybody not guess what's going on. Also, like at family dinner, there's the big elephant in the room. So family dinners can become very, very quiet. The elephant in the room is the person who's missing, one of the other children. And nobody wants to poke on that to upset somebody or get somebody crying, or, if it's a peaceful moment in the house, nobody wants to upset that. So it can really be, the elephant in the room can really be an elephant, okay? And it's really important to communicate, hey, I miss Nick at the table today. Or maybe even try to honor that person by saying, hey, I want to, put a candle here or a picture of Nick at his sitting spot. That's one way I found that was helpful. It hurts because we see the person and we want to remember them the way they were when they were alive. But just having their presence and sort of their spirit there can be very helpful. Now, very strong marriages can make it. There has to be a lot of commitment through child loss, and there has to be a lot of communication through child loss. Many marriages don't make it because people don't talk, or because of people's previous baggage. Like, I had one set of clients who, the husband, he was in an abusive household when he grew up, and so he learned to shut everything down. In fact, several clients. He learned to shut everything down and internalize. And the wife wanted to talk, but the other guy, the partner, he didn't know how to handle stress without shutting down and going inside. So his wife didn't feel heard at all, and she felt alone in this whole process, where to him she was the most important thing, but he couldn't get there. So there's a lot of dynamics like that play out, and people need to really communicate and sit and maybe have regular family meetings, or go see a counselor to help those communication type issues come out. Next, be reminded that nobody in the house is sleeping well. Nobody. Kids are having bad dreams. Maybe you're having bad dreams. Maybe, you're waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back to sleep. And so it's really important to find sleep support for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. And if it goes on for months, like for me, for example, I couldn't sleep for many months, and I almost got psychotic. I really, really struggled, and I really, I couldn't perform at work. I couldn't perform at home. I wasn't present because I just wasn't resting. That kind of thing needs attention from a medical professional, and perhaps maybe needs some sleep aids for you in whatever that looks like in your situation. I'm not here to suggest what's going to work for you, but just know and be aware that no one is sleeping. And the kids are laying in bed worrying about their parents, the surviving children are, and they're worried about what their life tomorrow looks like. And, you know, sometimes the kids can be, depending on the age, much more resilient than the parents. And what we don't want to do is have the kid be our caretaker, because kids want to see the family do well, because it just lets the whole family environment be lighter, right? And we can't put that on them. We have to hear when they're going there, and we have to be the ones to step in and say, hey, look, we're doing okay, or, you know, I'm having a bad day and I'll be okay, but be reassuring to them, because they really need to be reassured. So I hope that some of this is things that you can identify with, that help you feel a little bit more normalization around some of the things you're feeling in your home. It is really, really tough. And I think I remember we took our child to some counseling. I was in counseling, and then you know, that kind of helped keep the status quo, because some of the things that we want to talk about, we don't want to talk about to those people, right? Because they're too close to the situation. And even though, like, our spouse should be our confidant, sometimes they just don't have the bandwidth, because moms are trying to figure out how to keep the other kids running. Dads are trying to figure out how to keep their income coming in, right? And moms too. And especially if there are both parents who are working, it's even more challenging, because everybody's trying to juggle way more than they did before. Not necessarily more in the household, but there's a whole lot more that's being juggled in one's mind. And we're not ourselves. Grief tends to control us versus us controlling the grief. So sometimes we just have to back off, take a deep breath, and stop it. Just stop. Grief, stop. I've given you your time. I'm going to put you on the shelf. You can come back tomorrow, but right now I need to take some time for myself. Well, like I said, I hope most of this has been helpful for you. At least make you aware that you likely aren't experiencing things that others haven't experienced before. And so I have some more videos on different topics in my YouTube channel. I invite you to look at those. And in the meantime, I encourage you to first survive, then to strive, and eventually even thrive. Thank you.